with a whole lot of truth. The Remedy Revolution is here for you. Ooh. And now here's your host, Erin Page.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Remedy Revolution podcast. My name is Erin, and today's guest is somebody I'm excited to speak with. He has a rather unconventional approach to the physiology and how the psychological and the way our mind can impact how we express those kinds of things within our bodies in a physiological way. So it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Darrell Wolfe. Dr. Darrell Wolfe, it's a pleasure to meet you and to chat with you today.
Thank you. And it's a pleasure to be on your show. Thank you for
Yeah,
having me.
wonderful. So tell us a little bit about who you are and why you do what you do.
Well, first of all, I don't think I'd ever want to do anything else. I think right now it's all about being human, and being human means it's all about having unconditional love for ourselves and each other, or we're going to find the human race is not going to exist by 2040. And people don't like to hear that. And but the reality is if people took a look around, and let's say, let's take a look. You're on a lake, right? Travis Lake or something?
Yes,
Does
correct.
it have a beach?
Yes, we could call it a beach.
Okay, well, let's take a look at a picture in 1970 at that beach, and then we'll take a picture of it in 2026, and you'll find out that 80% of the population on that beach in the summertime are overweight and obese. And we're talking about at least 80% everywhere in North America. Okay, so America's rotting out, and they don't even know it. So the reality is I teach whole body healing. So it's mind, body, energy. Some people might say spirit, but some people have trouble with that. But so it's mind, body, and energy, and everything's electrical. We are electrical beings, and everything we eat, everything we drink leaves the body. I don't care if it's a nutraceutical supplement, whatever it is, it doesn't stay in you. Whatever the amount of light, the amount of frequency, that's what's going to be there. So if you eat a donut, you're going to have the vibration of a donut, and people don't get that. So, and the things we listen to, the way we speak, how we think, who we hang around with, everything is about vibration. And it's the most important thing that we can protect. And our electrical charge is the most thing that we can fill in the body. And the reality is the body is looking for energy. It's not looking for food. So if there's no energy in the food, then all you're doing is stealing energy. And that's why most people are walking around and they never stop eating, because they don't realize the only thing that turns off the trigger of hunger is a frequency.
Mm. Yeah, so tell me a little bit about the evolution for you, how you arrived at some of these conclusions with regard to the energetic impact on our physiology. What was there like a turning point for you or something that really made you want to really dive deep into this topic?
Well, I think the first thing is it's it's really important that you're logical. Most people aren't. And without logical thinking, you'll never have critical thinking.
Mhm.
And how much information you have doesn't mean anything. It's being very logical about things. And it's all started with my grandfather getting colon cancer. And I was in health really early in my life. As of October, it'll be 45 years that I've been in natural health. Okay. And so the reality is I had enough time to get rid of most of the how can I say this, deceptions. Or come on, you know as well as I do, it takes you the first 10 years, if you're logical and alert and actually have a proper process of thinking, to get rid of all of the BS, dysfunctional belief systems about health.
Mhm.
And you know as well as I do, well, maybe you don't, so I don't want to speak for you. But the reality is this, the medical system is based on a false premise, even though beautiful people are trying to help people. And the reality is that I'll say this, and then people might not like it, but I think we all need to become more aware. I think that 95% of natural health is actually superficial and off track. And if we were so good, then why are we so sick and not making any headway? I do understand that only 1% of the food in the supermarket is healing. But if people were teaching that, and if people were coming together and they actually understood that if there's no nutrition in the food, then there's no nutrition in you. And understand there's so many people like functional medicine doctors and naturopaths, and they crossed the line a long time ago. And so I don't believe that most functional medicine doctors are functional. I don't believe that most naturopaths are on nature's path. So the reality is that the world is being sold a story that doesn't fit the ending.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit more about what you mean by that, because I want people to understand, I think anyway, where you're coming from is this idea that we are treating natural medicine in much the same way that conventional medicine treats the patient, which is essentially a pill for every ill, rather than looking at the person from a more holistic perspective. Is that more along the lines of kind of what you're getting at?
Well, if I can say something, and it may seem a little bold,
Hmm.
after 6 weeks, 3 months on a protocol called a perfect day that we create for, and they're not all the same, but they're 80% the same. See, everybody thinks there's 2,200 diseases. There's only one. It's called inflammation. Now, how did you get the inflammation? And depending where the inflammation is and how long you've had it, that's the label you're going to give it. So that's why we have 2,200 diseases. And the reality is this, let's talk about something that's really big right now. Heavy metal cleansing, fungal cleansing. We could say candida, so people understand that, but it's many different types of funguses. And then let's talk about parasites, worms. Everybody's worm crazy. Well, first of all, you have to vibrate as low as a worm to grow one. And the reality is that 98% of all parasites are actually grown in the body. They're not eaten in food. So people haven't done their homework. Next thing is parasites and fungus do not cause cancer or other diseases. They only come about when 25% of the electrical conductivity or oxygen is a deficit in the body. So stop trying to do parasite cleanses, fungal cleanses, heavy metal cleanses. And if you just had your vibratory level up where each cell had 0.04 volts, which is a full voltage cell, you could never have that. You have to vibrate as low as the predator, okay, to actually have it. Remember, the environment dictates what lives there, okay? As Louis Pasteur said, the bug is nothing, the terrain is everything. And everything about the terrain is based on frequency and light. And the frequency and light is based on your thoughts, your images, and what you put in your mouth. Ask yourself, am I bringing in, will this leave light and high frequency? Or is this going to take more energy to digest and eliminate than what it even has in it? And that's why we have the bloating, we have the tiredness, that's why we have the aches, we have the pains, because a lot of things have gone fake.
Yeah, so what are some of the ways in which you're teaching people to raise that vibration in order to get out of this state of dis-ease?
Well, I'll tell you right now that I stopped doing water fasts when I was 32. I have a retreat where we did water fasts, and I stopped doing just water fasts at 32 because people were getting rid of their symptoms and their so-called diseases, but then it would take them 3 to 6 months to get their energy level back, because the reality is it takes energy to do that. So we put together a group of nutraceuticals that would bypass the Krebs cycle, not turn on the digestive tract, but create more stem cells and put them into ketosis properly and create autophagy where the body eats away the things you don't want. And we can do it more effectively. And we can prove that. We can prove that in a 6-day advanced water fast, you actually create $80,000 to $100,000 in stem cells. You actually, people talk about stem cells, they talk about peptides, and this is all crazy. I mean, if you're never going to take massive action, okay, if you're never going to mind your own business, which is your body and your heart, your soul, then go ahead, buy peptides, buy stem cells, but they can only produce about 5 to 10% what an advanced water fast can do. So what I did was I created what was called dodselfcure.com, and I lay out for people so that because for a lot of people, your value will tell you how much you're going to spend on yourself, time or energy. And a lot of people will not spend any money on natural health if they've been in medical health. You've got to give it to them for free. And so, I would say it was 20 years ago. I said I've created the biggest self-care, self-love app in the world called Braveheart Nation app. And I give away 90% of everything I do is free. And in this dodselfcure.com, I lay out how to do a watermelon cleanse. Did you know that you can get somebody on a watermelon cleanse for 10 days and just miracles happen? It's just so unbelievable, because a lot of people won't do an advanced water fast. Or you can put them on a grape cure for 10 days, 6 to 10 days, and they'll see miracles happen, especially if they support their body in other ways. And so we have in there watermelon cleanse, grape cure, advanced water fast. We have also in there how to do a proper juice fast. We also have in there about baking soda, because people don't realize most people are sick, suffering, and even dying because they're so full of lactic acid. And baking soda, which is in your kitchen, you could use that properly throughout the day and actually drive out a lot of this lactic acid that's causing stage 4, 5 inflammation that they call cancer, which I don't believe in, because there is no cancer. You're born with 10,000 cancer cells floating in your body at 24/7. So there's no mutation of cancer cells. That's already been proven wrong. So I think all I want to do is just keep it really basic, really logical, and that people have the power to heal themselves. That's it. And the reality is this, you know it as well as I do, and some people were willing to talk about it. People don't want to lose patients or have people come up against them. But the reality is, without any disrespect, the majority has always been wrong. Give me a time in history when they've been right. So, and I tell that to people, and it's not because I'm disrespecting them. I love everyone. You don't have to love me, but I know I need to love and care for everyone, or else I've missed the whole point of the game. So the reality is we have to lay out strategies for people and start where they are able to start. Your belief systems make up your personality, but as well as I do, that unless you went to brainwash boot camp and cracked that coconut open, and you've actually been the computer programmer and you're the one that put the prominent dominant beliefs in there, then you're still not running your own life. There's only one out of it. This is actually true. 1 out of 100 people have logical thinking. One out of 1,000 have critical thinking, and 1 out of 10,000 are actually what we would call enlightened or aware. We're totally aware of what's going on in the world. And so, no matter what the outcome or what people think of me, I'm going to stir it up.
So tell me a little bit about the kinds of people who have come to you and what these kinds of fasts, like the watermelon fast you were mentioning, what kinds of results they've been able to experience as a result.
I've been doing this long enough to know. And some of the biggest people in health will tell you this. Okay, remember something. We're not curing anyone. I'm not saying this because I'm worried about the medical system or the government, because they've come after me 3 times trying to destroy my business. And I don't care about that either. The reality is that the body heals and people must become their own practitioner. All we do is create strategies so they can win. So I just want everybody to know that anybody can heal themselves. Are you going to take the time? Are you going to change parts of your personality? Are you going to make higher vibrational choices that love, honor, and respect yourself? And most people can't do that because they just don't have a program that fits, that actually does love, honor, and respect themselves. But the reality is this: why don't you give me a situation? I'm telling you that every stage 4 or 5 situation we've turned around. People come to me with only days to live, and people come to me and say, hey, Dr. Wolfe, I've been told I only have 2 weeks, or I only have 3 months, or I only have 6 months. Remember, you only have 2 weeks, you only have 3 months, you only have 6 months if you're the average person. What if you weren't average? What if you didn't do what everybody else did? Because a statistic is only based on the average person that's never done anything for themselves. They eat the same, drink the same, think the same. So why would you have anything different? So we teach people that take a look at our protocol, ask yourself, what part of our protocol is dangerous or life-threatening, which is absolutely nothing. And if you can be that logical and then decide to do 80 to 90% of that protocol, we're going to see a change. And those things that are irreversible are reversible. And those things that are impossible to change will be possible. And I know that you have a practice and you've seen it. But what we do is we go deeper. Like if I put somebody on a water, not deeper than you, but deeper than most, that's all I meant. So if I put somebody on a watermelon cleanse, I'd like to get them to get seeded watermelon. I'd like them to juice the watermelon. They're going to put black diamond, which is humic, on it, and they're going to put a little bit of salt on it. It'll still taste really good. A little bit of lime or lemon, and they're just going to eat watermelon. But they're going to do what's called an ultimate coffee enema, not a coffee enema. Because if you do a coffee enema, you're going to purge your liver of toxins that never existed 50 years ago, 25 years ago. And who has leaky gut? Absolutely everyone has leaky gut. And everybody's got leaky gut, and people don't understand it's leaky large intestine 90% of the time, where you burnt out the mucus, which protected you, and then you pulled the tight junctions apart due to infection and inflammation. And now you are pooping into your pelvis. You're pooping into your bloodstream. Okay. So we know this, and so we got to seal the deal to heal. We got to seal the large intestine and small intestine. So we don't do that. It's a screen door in a submarine. So we know by putting people on a watermelon cleanse for 6 to 10 days, you're going to see miracles. Get them to do an ultimate coffee enema and purge the liver. Get the women to do a vaginal infusion, because you do know that the vaginal canal will absorb nutrition into the body 500 to 1,000% better. And that's all the way to the brain. Mm-hmm. So you can heal your brain by doing a vaginal infusion. And a vaginal infusion is using high vibrational nutraceuticals, because guess what? Almost every woman's vaginal canal is smelling, rotting out because of the pelvis situation. Just like right now, you know that 50% of all men by the age of 40 have prostate inflammation. And then they start having problem peeing because the urethra goes through the middle, and it's inflamed, so it's contracting on the urethra. So right now in the United States, colon cancer is the #1 cancer now, and it's going to blow past everything. In the next 5 years, it will be, I guarantee you, 10 times worse than any other cancer, because America is rotting out. I did a 2.5-hour masterclass. Anybody watches this, it's called America's Rotting Out. They're done. They got it. It's all simple. An 8-year-old could understand it. So to having women do vaginal infusions and going on what I just told you, and having tumors come out, parasites come out of their vagina. Same thing with the colon. Remember something, you can't have a disease without having rotting tissue in your body. You can't have rotting tissue without having parasites. You can't have parasites without having bad bacteria and fungal problems. They all come to the parasite party.
Well, okay, so let's kind of break down some of the mindset challenges, because I think that's where all of this begins, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately, um, we can't heal ourselves if we don't believe we can. If we believe, that we have 2 weeks to live. If you internalize those kinds of, dogmatic kinds of ways of thinking, unfortunately, it'll probably lead you down the road of, like we said earlier, dis-ease. So, how do you assist people in changing their mindset about who they are, what value they offer to the world, and getting right within their own spirit?
Well, I'm not trying to take a shortcut, but if you had unconditional love for yourself, you wouldn't have to deal with anything. And whether people want to believe it or not, most people will never have unconditional love for themselves because they bought into other stories. Like, if you believe in this and you let's call, if I think I sinned, how long should I suffer for? If I feel like I've hurt my family, how long should I suffer for? And if my family won't forgive me, how long should I suffer for? And remember that every image creates a thought, and every thought creates an image. So thought creates image, image creates thought. But from image and thought, you go to emotion. Emotion is energy in motion. Depending on the thought and the image will depend on the emotion. Is it negative or is it positive? If it's positive, you're dumping the dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, happy and healing. If you're dumping histamine and adrenaline and cortisol, that's called the hack. That's why you're coughing and hacking up all the time, because histamine, adrenaline, cortisol are very acidic. And what people do not realize is since COVID, okay, so just know this. Um, 40 years ago, people would have a drama trauma moment 3 times a month, 40 years ago. Before COVID, it was 17 times. The average American now has a drama trauma moment 100 to 125 times a day because everything is a protocol, everything is a program. The brain is made out of the conscious mind, subconscious mind. The conscious mind is 10%. That's you in the present moment. The majority of the population, like 99 out of 100, are in the actual present moment 2% of the day. 2%. You can't change anything. So the reality is now you've got 90% your subconscious that runs programs. The subconscious runs, guess what, programs? Bad ones or good ones? No, it runs whatever was put in from 0 to 7. From 0 to 7, you took 70 to 90% of all your beliefs and you had no filter. You're in a trance. And from 0 to 7, whatever went on in your life, that became your personality. You have a spirit, you have a heart, you have a soul. But understand something. What's causing dis-ease and bringing you out of alignment is actually the dysfunctional belief systems that are now part of your personality. So unless you're going to crack open that coconut and take a look at that menu and go, wow, if I went to a buffet, I'm not going to eat stuff that I don't like. So we need to stop focusing on beliefs that have a chokehold on us, have a hook on us, and focus on unconditional belief systems that love us, cherish us, feed us, and nourish us on all levels. But most people aren't going to be able to do that because they've got the religious hook. They've got the guilt hook. So they get to go to judgment jail and they don't even know they're in there because it's invisible. So the reality is how do you do this? Well, you know what? Please, it's not a sales pitch. I just did what's called a Whole Life Health Certified course. It's 9 days, 4 on, 1 off, and 4 on. And I give a 3-day, up to 3 days. You can stay right to the end of the 3rd day. And if you don't think I've cracked your coconut and you haven't experienced unconditional love and you look at it and go, wow, all these conditions that I had on myself and my family and the world, man, if I didn't get rid of those, it's just bump and grind. So to be honest with you, unless you're going to go to brainwash boot camp and take massive personal action and understand that your subconscious, which is 90% of your brain, is nothing more than a computer. It only plays programs. What do you think? That your personality was God-given? It was man-driven. And it was not driven into you to serve you. It was to serve the beast system. And I don't want to get into that, but guess what? If we're so intelligent and we're energy systems, why haven't we been taught how to keep our energy at 0.04 volts in 50 trillion cells, which makes us a 2 trillion volts? That's what we have in us, 2 trillion volts. And why do we feel sucked out all the time? Because guess what? We got sucked in and then done in. And it's every day. So what we speak, what we think, what we eat, what we drink. And remember something, most nutritional supplements, okay, aren't nutritional at all.
So you've mentioned this voltage system a few times, and I'd love for you to explain a little bit deeper about what that is. And is this something that people are able to measure? How would we know where we're at?
Well, guess what? How much do you love your life? Remember something. If you have no energy, you don't love your life at all. And this voltage system, if you drop 15% in voltage, you drop 15% in oxygen. They travel right together. So when you drop 15% in voltage and 15% in oxygen, what kicks in? A GPS called pain. And that's actually a message from your body saying you're out of alignment. And if you take this further, we won't just have inflammation. We'll have calcification, scar tissue formation, crystallization. And then guess what? These cells that are now screaming at you, they're going to be decomposing. And if you drop down to 25%, okay, in energy, you are going to create parasites from the invisible because their job is to eat the decomposing tissue. That's what parasites do. So parasites don't cause cancer. They come, and there is no such thing as cancer. Dr. Otto Warburg received the Nobel Prize, and the only person for discovering cancer. And what was it? A deficit of 30%, 35% oxygen for more than 3 days. The cells go into survival mode and they go, oh my God, there's no oxygen. But look at all the lactic acid that was created by the anxiety and all the inflammatory foods. And the bowel never worked right. So it started rotting. That caused infection, which caused inflammation, which caused more lactic acid. And there's enough lactic acid here that we can survive forever. So then the cancer cell eats the lactic acid and then it poops it out so that it keeps lots of lactic acid so that it will live forever. So our job is to bring down the lactic acid so that we can bring up the voltage and bring up the oxygen.
So, you're talking about a lot about oxygen. I'm curious what your thoughts are on things that help bring more oxygen into the body, or is that, in your opinion, something that is because if we're doing it externally or artificially increasing oxygen, like hyperbarics, for example?
No, I'm not big on it. I
Okay.
owned a hyperbaric chamber. It's a really hard way to do it. And guess what? Also, did you ever notice something? Fads go and fads leave. And guess what? That's just one big fad. So talk to everybody that's been in a hyperbaric chamber and ask them how much it changed their life. Okay.
Yeah. So then I'm curious, from your perspective, what do you think is most helpful at,
Clearing your large intestine and liver.
Okay.
Remember something. Do you ever go into a pig barn or a cow barn? It's hard to breathe for the first few minutes. And that's because the gassing off of the waste. And whether you believe it or not, we know this. Look it up. 99% of all Americans have parasites, and you can't have parasites unless you have your own private manure pile. And that private manure pile is in your large intestine, and people don't even know what a good bowel movement is. And remember, your large intestine is a compost. And depending what you put in your mouth is going into the compost fermented, and it's creating the good bacteria. And we know that 85% of the immune system in the human body is the large intestine. It's the bacteria. And we know that we need 85% good bacteria and 15% bad, and that keeps us really well. But we also know that 99% of the population have 85% or more bad bacteria. which are called endobacterium, which are actually gassing off. And that gas is called lipopolysaccharide that gets into the bloodstream and causes whole body inflammation. And did you know that 99% of all bladder infections are E. coli or another form of bad bacteria that come from your large intestine? So you had to have it into your bloodstream. And the realization that your kidneys are supposed to actually filter the fluids in your body, but now they're actually filtering trapped protein particles, heavy metals, parasites, parasitical aids, fungus, and like the bad bacteria. That's why would a bacteria from the bowel get into the bladder? And then when you do get that bladder infection, now you're going to take antibiotics and go and blow up your large intestine's good bacteria and set yourself up for bigger problems you've ever had in your life.
Yeah, so that kind of brings to mind something that that I've challenged some of my colleagues on, which is the idea that we need to kill either the bacteria or
You
the
don't kill anything.
parasites.
You don't
Right,
kill
that's
anything.
right. So ultimately, from my perspective, it's about creating an inhospitable environment. Is that what you're saying?
Well, let's put it this way. All you have to do is bring the vibration up higher
Mhm.
than a worm, and you're on your way.
Right. Yeah, I mean, to me, just logically, from the perspective of many of my colleagues, as well as in conventional medicine, the idea is that, well, we need to get rid of the parasite or the bacteria and we're going to kill it. But, ultimately that doesn't address the root cause. And why is the parasite or the bacteria in abundance within the system?
Well, that's where the whole ivermectin and fenbendazole
Mhm,
is not a miracle, but it's a distraction.
mhm,
All right.
mhm.
And people are
Right.
going to say I'm wrong because some people have taken it and they've seen a miracle happen, but that's only 1 out of 10,000. You know, the reality is this, is that people need to understand that the kill came from the medical system. I'm not after them, please, but kill the cancer, kill the bacteria. How about this? Kill the virus. And there's no virus that's ever been alive. A virus is a man-made poison. It's 5G, 6G, it's microwaves, it's chemicals, and it's heavy metals. And none of those are alive. And that's why, did you know that parasites will not eat a virus? They won't eat a virus because it'll kill them. They're that intelligent, but we're not. And the reality is they've never isolated a virus in the whole history of humankind. I'll give $10,000 to anybody who says that you can find me where they isolated a virus. They can't. A virus is not alive, so it can't jump and it can't spread. And the biggest farce on this planet that took us all down, because COVID was the litmus paper test to see if we had moronic thinking and that we could be harvested. Seriously. Well, I'll get back to this though. So anyways, antibiotics don't kill bad bacteria. They kill all bacteria. Okay. And so the reality is this: kill, kill, kill. No, bring up your vibration, have unconditional love for yourself, and keep bringing your vibration up. Okay. If you want to do ivermectin, fenbendazole, remember something, everybody. You want to kill those things, and that's what you're doing. You better make sure you get the cork out of your butt, your bowels are moving good, and that you're flushing your liver out. Because when you do ivermectin and fenbendazole, you are killing these things. And now you've got all these dead soldiers rotting in you. And go do your homework. An adult worm will release a hormone while it's alive because it's greedy, so that the eggs that it laid will not hatch until it dies. Once it dies, the adults die, then guess what? So remember, if you're going to do fenbendazole, you be ready, because 10 days later, after the adults are dead, you've got a whole new baby lot. So you better be ready to keep it going and go hardcore. But remember something, the psychological rules the biological, the invisible creates the physical. So you better go back to vibration someday and say, you know what? Am I going to make the environment in my house unconditional love or conditional love? There it is. And I have unconditional love in my house. I have no rules. I have lots of family members living with me, coming and going. And there's only one rule: unconditional love for yourself and others. And if you're going to have a tantrum, if you're going to lose your SHIT, then go for a long walk, get it out of your system, and come back and we'll talk about it.
Mm-hmm. That being said, I think, we're inundated, and which I think you alluded to earlier when you talked about these trauma moments that happen virtually all the time in today's society. And
Well, they happen all the time because guess what? We're programmed to focus on them.
right.
I don't have trauma moments. If you connected to your breath and you said no more knee-jerk reactions, I'm going to stay centered. Well, why do we look at something and depending on how big the trauma is going to be depending on how much we lose it and freak out? What if we got rid of that? Because this all came from the family, which is called the damnly in most cases. And it's this: the person that suffers the most in the family, everybody just loves him or her, but they are the sickest person. Okay, they're called the suffer eater.
Mm-hmm.
So the reality is this: we need to stop suffering for each other, but we need to be there for each other.
So how does one strike a balance? Because I think a lot of times what we're lacking in today's society, I think, is this amount of resiliency that I don't think I've ever seen. I mean, I'm in my mid 40s, but even like my son's generation, watching these young adults now, there's really such a lack of resiliency in today's newer generations. And I recognize that we have, unfortunately created a monster, if you will. But how do we start to regulate the system by, assisting some of our young people in getting to a place of inner peace, if you will, so that they can then be resilient when things are going to happen regardless within their lives, and that's just kind of a given. But it's really more about how we are able to handle them in the moment. So how do you suggest for people that are just kind of figuring out the world today, that they start to build up this sense of resiliency and self-love?
So I do approximately anywhere from 15 to 30 teenage suicide interventions a month. It's not hard to turn them around. Problem is they've got, their parents are adults. They're called adulterated. The parents aren't processing trauma properly. They're not staying connected to their breath. And understand this: 99% of all trauma in every family and every person is made up. People die 1,000 deaths every day. And just remember this, everyone. COVID was the pin in the grenade that we pulled. When it comes to our children, we pushed them over the cliff. We shouldn't have locked the doors, wore the masks. We took their life away from them for 4 years. The teenagers, they got wiped out. They're lost. They're lost now. And the reality is this: unless you have a Braveheart mother, father, unless you have a parent that is non-judging but only observing, and then guess what? What do all parents do? They judge. And what else do they do? With my kids, my daughter came home one time, and one of them, I've got lots of kids, and said, "Dad, I don't mean to say this, but I went to this rave and I took some drugs, and I woke up in the morning and I'm scared I was raped." And I said, "Well, were your pants on?" "Yeah." "Maybe you won't do it again." But the reality is I was there. I always will tell my kids, I've done that. I've been there. And this is going to happen. Come to me with everything. We need to be working together. And then I put a mirror right at the doorway. I said, the last thing you're going to do is look into your eyes. And when I go out tonight, I am going to say, I will love, honor, and respect my body, my soul. And if it's not high vibrational, I'm not going to opt into it, because our kids are out there searching for love, because when they were born, we told them we had unconditional love for them. They could scream, they could yell, they could poop on us, spit on us. But as soon as they started to walk and talk and act like mommy and daddy, we punished them when actually they were just mirroring what we were. And that was our time in our life where we could have changed and said, oh my God, sweetie, thank you. Okay, that's me. This is what daddy does. This is daddy has a temper like this. I want to thank you for pretending that you're daddy right now. And I promise you that I'm going to work on not doing this anymore. And if you see me doing this, my little Yoda, you tell me. And understand something. Everything that we want our kids to do, it needs to be put into a game from love. And yes, we'll tell them when they can just bring their game up higher. But guess what? We get so caught up in things that we don't look at what they're good at. And you know what? Guess what? We'll send them to a Rockefeller school. Why did we do that? What a moron. What a moron. You're lucky you didn't have a kid. I don't know why my kid's all screwed up. Well, guess what? You gave it to a Rockefeller and said, raise it. So don't ask that question. So guess what? Get them back into nature. Get them back into adventure. And that's it. Get rid of all the iPads and the computers, and understand something. And please don't take this wrong, but every young teenager is either on the phone, on a computer, on a game, on the TV. And guess what? Did you know that 5,000 teenagers are being diagnosed with cataracts right now in the United States every day? Did you know that before blue light, there wasn't any eye disorders? You could hardly find them. But nobody looks at this. Nobody looks at that blue light. These are called Tesla Hyperlight glasses. You do know that blue blockers don't do a damn thing.
Right.
So anyways, so the reality is guess what? Blue light, are you ready? In 30 seconds, any child that's under 12 years old has brain burn already. 3 minutes, an adult has brain burn from looking into blue light. And blue light is a weapon of war. Blue light's more dangerous than 5G. Blue light, you're always going to have hormonal imbalance. Blue light, you're always going to have brain burn. You're always going to have burning eyes, and you're going to have myopia, cataracts, glaucoma, detached retina, floaters in your eyes. Oh, I could keep going. So the reality is guess what? If 8 billion people can't come together with unconditional love and stop picking a religion you don't like or a color you don't like, then guess what? We're leaving. We're leaving. It was the big test. Can we love anyway?
Yeah. Yeah. So
think about when you pick a political party or you pick a side. Just know this. That's moronic thinking. The government isn't broken. It's working perfectly. It's working the way that was created. The medical system is working perfectly. What's not working perfectly is our spirit and our hearts.
yeah, and I think important too is the way that so many of the last several years events have really divided people because they have become so dogmatic in their thinking, in their allegiance to whatever it might be, whether it's religion or politics or
all made up fairy tales. All made up fairy tales.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
You know what? It's really going to shock everyone, but the same creator that created the universe created all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not something that judges us. You know, the God that most people worship need a straitjacket and Prozac. 1 minute loves us, doesn't love us, is going to make us pay for this, make us pay for that. You know, when I started talking about unconditional love for yourself 25 years ago, people called me Satan. Can you believe it? 25 years ago. Wow. Dark ages or what? Okay. All right.
All right, Dr. Wolfe. Well, I could probably go on and speak for quite a bit longer, but I have 8 rapid fire questions I ask of
Okay.
every single one of our guests. These are designed to give us a little bit more insight into who you are and what makes you tick. So, are you ready?
I don't know. Maybe
All right. Number one, if you could choose only one natural remedy for the rest of your life, what would it be?
a smile.
Nice. I don't think I've had that answer before. All right. Number two, tell us something most people don't know about you.
That I will love everyone unconditionally and I don't need anything back.
All right. Number three, if I were to compile a playlist of happy music, what song would you suggest be added?
Kung Fu fighting.
That's awesome. All right. Number four, what is your favorite guilty pleasure?
I don't have one.
All right. Number five, what is the most influential book you've ever read?
The Bible.
Number six, what does the word revolution mean to you?
A revolving door. And that's all they're doing is they're keeping us in a revolving door because they've been feeding off us since we got here.
And what does the word remedy mean to you?
Unconditional love, connected to the breath, a slight smile, and knowing that which created the universe has always loved us and has got our back.
And lastly, if you could impart one piece of wisdom onto our listeners, what would that be?
Love anyway.
Love it. Thank you so much. Dr. Darrell Wolfe, where can people find you and learn more about the work that you're doing in this world?
Well, I'd like to give them something that they can bite into that's really simple. And it's not so much about me, it's about them. And to go to dodselfcure.com and watch the 3 master classes. If they can make it through there, they'll have more knowledge than anybody's ever given them. So logical. And it's all about them for them. And then take a look at the DOD slideshow. And do I want to do a watermelon cleanse or a grape cure or an advanced water fast or a juice fast? And what is a whole plant-based keto diet? And then, you know what? If they want, they can go into my Braveheart Nation app. It's the largest self-care app, and it guides you and it loves you and it cares for you. And they can download my Perfect Day Guide. pdgfree.com is a 600-page guide that, if they like reading, that will guide them from your nose to your toes and show them how they need to become the practitioner, they need to become the hero, and they need to become the lover that they've been seeking.
Thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure. Thank you all for listening today. Again, this is Dr. Darrell Wolfe. Please go learn more about him. I've placed all of the information in the show notes of today's show. Thank you so much for joining us. Everyone, take care.
With hope as a guiding light, through darkest days we'll fight the night. With a whole lot of passion, with a whole lot of truth, Remedy Revolution is here for you.